Welcome to the Tech Ascent podcast, the podcast where we dive into the trends, strategies, and success stories that are reshaping the tech industry as we know it today. I'm your host, Oliver Klingane. I'm also the founder of Ascension, the premier business development partner within tech. And today, we have a very exciting guest joining us. We have Chris Roberts, the CEO of Indr. And as much as I'd love to tell Chris's story, I think it'd be better coming from him. So, Chris, would you mind giving the audience a little bit of background about yourself and what you do in the day-to-day with Indr?
Sure. First of all, Oliver, thank you very much for having us on. Appreciate the opportunity and looking forward to having a conversation with you. But yeah, um, let's see, to make a long story interesting, at least for anybody else listening to this or watching it, I would say that one of the problems or challenges that I've seen over and over in a long career in technology has been challenge in the digital transformation space. Like we are perennially doing this. It's not something that stops. We have new technologies coming at us kind of pretty consistently and constantly. But one of the things that struck me a while ago was that, and you start looking at the statistics around it, digital transformations normally end 70% of them failing to achieve their stated objectives. It takes a long time, it costs a lot of money, but most importantly, they don't accurately hit the goals that were outlined. And so we thought there has got to be a better way. This is one of the biggest inefficiencies, in our opinion, on the planet from a technology point of view that needs a remedy. And the solutions to that have really been like a sea of kind of lightweight tools to do surveys and ideation, whiteboards and post-it notes, or heavyweight consulting. And we felt that it was time for a system of record for transformation, for organizations to help move through this, because it's something that is a constant for all of them. Uh, and we felt the time was now to be able to build that. And it would not have been possible, I don't think, without the advent of AI to do what we're doing right now. But we're really excited to tackle this problem around helping organizations move through change and transformation more efficiently, less expensively, and most importantly, accurately.
Yeah, that's a fantastic mission. And you mentioned the advent of AI is something that's kind of supercharged your growth. Would you mind walking me through that a little bit?
Sure. Um, Our goal long term is to be able to be a transformation or change advisor in an organization. So if you are a VP or a director of transformation, or CTO, a CIO that is responsible for change or transformation initiatives, we want to make sure that we can be your system of record and that you can come to us and start any challenge by engaging with our platform, just like you would with any large language model. I'll use ChatGPT today by asking a question and going through an interview to define what that challenge is and then help you build that roadmap out, the tools we have in our platform to execute a change initiative right from inception all the way through tracking its success. So for us, AI was wildly important. But the funny thing was when this started, um, we began before ChatGPT was a well-known commodity. AI had been being discussed and large language models existed and we were using them. But the biggest challenge that we ran into with folks when we were doing early trials was, how did you do that? Show me their work. I want to see the math. How did you come up with that? And what we found was the lack of familiarity with LLMs out in the community was driving suspicion in terms of our results. When ChatGPT broke and became what it is now, and the awareness became a lot larger, it was a godsend to us because the entities that we've been working with were really able to say, oh, okay, now we understand how you're doing that and being able to take advantage of it. But honestly, we're at the very beginning with AI, but it's moving faster than any technological trend that I have seen um, ever in my lifetime in terms of the speed of its adoption. It's I think even surprised guys like Bill Gates and even Elon Musk in thinking about how quick we are where we are.
hmm No, it's super interesting just the way the landscape has shifted, the way the trend has just truly taken off. You mentioned how much it's helped the growth of Indr. With the growth of AI, though, it's led to a large influx of AI companies coming into the space. And because of that, there's a lot of people that are kind of over promising and under delivering on that front, to say the least, to put it politely. How have you guys gone about kind of separating yourself on that front of we've been using AI, we know what it does, we know what it's capable of, and we've delivered on it? How do you separate yourself from that?
I There was something I read a while back when ChatGPT was just starting to hit, and I still think it rings true right now. I think that you've got big players on the one end, the Microsofts, the Googles, the IBMs, and obviously OpenAI that are spending billions of dollars to train different models, and that's one element of the fight. That's not necessarily something that smaller startup entities necessarily, I think, like us, are trying to chase whatsoever. We're going to take advantage of those capabilities and build them into our platform moving forward. Then there's the ultimate other side, and I think you may have been alluding to that a little bit, where folks are using the word AI or talking about it, or it's on a future roadmap of something, or they're doing something deeply derivative or not necessarily impactful. I think a lot of small things folks are hoping to get acquired quickly, things like that, lightweight things that may or may not have it. There's this third category that I didn't know that you don't start off assuming you're going to be in this space, but we were trying to tackle a problem where there wasn't a solution in place right now. I almost think of it like what Mark Benioff may have seen when he launched Salesforce was that you had a big honking system like Siebel at that time to do CRM, but only large organizations, Microsofts and IBMs and others, would be able to afford or manage something like that. On the other side, in being in go to market, at that point, sales was driven off Excel, post-it notes, and whiteboards, and that's how you kept track of things. Digital transformation to us is no different. There are heavyweight consulting tools out there and lightweight tools, but there wasn't a system of record to help organizations move through this better. So we knew that that was our lane. But we knew that if we were going to harness that intelligence, AI was going to be really, really important to the center of our product. So we think that we've got a unique lane because we've built an enterprise class application that exists and is out there in the great big world that has AI introduced into it to play specific roles throughout the product that are doing something that is not derivative of something else, nor trying to chase something that Microsoft, Google, or others would be doing. So we think that there's a real unique value proposition. But if I look at the three bears, you can try to compete on the biggest end. I think only nation states, China, India, others may try to do that, and it's going to take billions. You can try to do low end things, magic and tricks, a little bit, maybe get acquired or something like that. Or I think build unique value by providing net new capabilities to organizations that are built with AI from the ground up in the middle of it. And that's what we've aspired to be.
Mm, I love it. And you've built this kind of unique lane, so to say, of your own. And on your website, you've got grow, optimize, and simplify. Would you mind kind of tying those into how your unique value proposition works?
Well, when we look at transformation initiatives, you might be looking at it for a wide variety of things. Sometimes change happens when it's like, oh wow, this just hit. There's mergers, there's acquisitions, there is compliance, things that happen to you. It could be competition that force you to do things differently inside an organization. And then there are things that you might want or need to do just to improve efficiencies, right? That are optimizing things. So there are different reasons why organizations might be doing something or changing something, and many of them could be happening at a similar time. And so for us, we're just trying to say, hey, look, if you're moving through a lot of these initiatives, there's a better way to be able to do that. If you've got a system of record to be able to track and keep track of all of the different change initiatives, why you're doing it, who it's impacting, how it's impacting, is it driving the results that you anticipated? And without having a system of record, it's really, really difficult to go back and understand why certain decisions may or may not have been made. But what you're alluding to are the different types of transformation where our software could play a pivotal role in helping out.
Hmm. We've discussed the gap you filled where some digital transformations they either fail or they don't hit all the nails on the head. Would you mind walking me through how you establish your software as something that is going to fulfill what it's promising?
Sure. The secret for us, when we really looked hard at it, 70% of these transformations failed to meet their stated objectives. And that's jaw dropping. If you think we're spending this year on the planet around 3 trillion just in digital transformations alone or under that banner. If you think that 70% of that is essentially not meeting its stated goals, that's an incredible amount of inefficiency. So instead of really going deep on the 70, what we cared about were the 30. What are they doing that are making those transformations successful? And when you look at it, it came down to a couple of really key things. We spend so much time talking about technology to solve problems, but really that technology is being used by and driven by human beings on the other side. And if you're not able to engage the humans in a transformation or a change initiative early and often throughout it, that is the single biggest reason for failure. And so what our platform was meant to do was give any individual in an organization the ability to run a change initiative by being able to engage those stakeholders inside or outside the firewall early to make sure that you are solving and addressing the right problems. In essence, we're trying to get at tribal knowledge in people's heads, their experiences, their sentiments, their perceptions around what they're doing day in and day out. And when you pull that in, you now know you are solving the right problems. There's inclusion. You want to make sure you're talking to the right community that are going to be the most affected by it. But there's others that may be affected, secondarily, tertiarily, and you want to understand who they are as well. So the whole magic for us is being able to not only have the business rationale for the change, but keep the audiences that are affected by it engaged through the entire change or transformation life cycle. And that's really the key to success in making this happen. It's turning tribal knowledge into institutional knowledge that you can then build business cases around.
Fantastic answer. And with that, any sort of technological innovation, when you have a human element involved, there's got to be some sort of education. What strategies do you guys have in place to make sure that when you guys are implementing Indr, that the people using it understand what's going on and kind of have that education behind it?
Like any SaaS company, when we engage either with a direct customer or with partners that are taking it out to market uniquely, there's a lot of customer success onboarding that we do right up front. But we've designed the product to be as simple as possible. So when we work with what we call a change maker in the organization, we will work with she or he and their team to understand how to use the product in depth. These are your admins or your power users. Everybody else that touches it is touching it in a very lightweight, very easy to use way so that you can invite people in quickly to run different exercises. Um, Unlike, let's say that you are in, many people have been in ideation sessions where you have whiteboard and post-it notes and you're putting things up. Well, we can do that electronically so that no one has to transcribe all of that. And you can do the stack ranking and you can figure out the patterns using AI around what was up there and play that back in ways that all of the audience can very simply and easily engage with it. But for us, the onboarding up front, which is the question you asked me, is the really important part. But after that, it's a relatively easy tool to use and it gets smarter over time in the organization. The more challenges you engage with it, it's all in that system. It knows you better as AI is intended to do. So it's a relatively lightweight lift to get people up on the platform, and then once they're there, it's real easy for them to continue rolling with it.
Fantastic. With that, once they're in the door, it sounds easy to educate them through your kind of intensive onboarding process. On the flip side of that, in terms of growth, in the market, there's so many tech solutions in the space. There's just a lot of noise. How do you go
Uh-huh.
about educating prospects that your solution is their go-to?
Yeah, and for us, there are a few things that we looked at that are really important. So we have an ecosystem-led model where we do sell direct, but we're also leveraging partners. Our primary partner is HP, who have taken it out to market under a different brand called HPIX in white labeling the solution. There are other partners we're bringing on board now. That allows us as a small startup company to get a lot more reach, credibility, and scale than we otherwise would have, allowing us to kind of punch above our weight. But we're also focusing on selling direct. We want that product feedback to come into us in a direct way as an early stage company so that we can kind of get the best of both worlds. But our thinking here is that ecosystem led growth will help us achieve the scale that we're looking for with a problem set so many different organizations are trying to address with a unique offering. So to us, it's a matter of doing both, not one or the other. We actually started on the partner side, which is unusual. Usually you do direct and then ecosystem. It's a different podcast topic to get into, but that's really been the focus for us is ecosystem led growth to build, as I said, credibility and scale, and then also getting that rich feedback from our target customers, people in different industries that we want to learn more about, understand their unique challenges around.
Awesome. And it sounds like a great ecosystem you've built of kind of that double-edged sort of growth. One trend we've noticed is being in the tech space with the direct selling you mentioned. A lot of companies see that as an uphill battle. Have you guys seen any kind of successful strategies in your space without sharing your secret sauce, of course?
Um, we've tried as a startup company, honestly, we've got a lot of folks around the table that have quite a bit of experience and deeper Rolodexes. So we're a group that have more kids that are in or out of college than people that just got out of college on the leadership team. We've been able to use that as our secret sauce, to be frank. There are a lot of people with a lot of experiences, relationships from larger organizations, myself and my leadership team colleagues included, that we're able to dial into some of those networks to be able to gain access kind of unfairly to our former colleagues and friends that we've been able to kind of work with. But the other thing that we're looking to do is to really build community. There are a group of transformation and change leaders out there that don't have a technology like this today. And so part of what we're doing in terms of leveraging our direct relationships is also reaching out from a community point of view to say, hey, try this, give us feedback on this. This is really for you as a transformation leader in your organization to be able to do your job better, to make it easier for your organization to move through these intrinsically difficult processes. So without giving away too much of our secret sauce, we are using our experiences and our relationships and also kind of trying to build new ones from a community point of view.
Fantastic. And you mentioned there the value you place on customer feedback to showcase them what you can implement. A lot of companies struggle with that we've spoken to. What recommendations do you have for them in terms of utilizing the value that the clients give you?
I think that there's always a pull between what we need to do or want to do on our roadmap in terms of where we want to take the product, but making sure that you're building something that organizations can, will, and want to use in the future. So we get to certain points with the application of the platform right now where we will hold on new features or new capabilities, even if we think they're super cool, to make sure that we're getting feedback from the entities and the organizations that are using it right now. Those customer advisory boards, that product feedback loop is wildly important to us because in the end, if you're not building something that organizations are delighted by, love using, and it's creating value, then you're not really doing something that solves a problem. So customer feedback is wildly important to us in terms of impacting that roadmap moving forward. And I don't, it's difficult, but I think we've got decent mechanisms and, as I say, quite a lot of experience around the team in working in those customer advisory board scenarios so that we can pull that product feedback. But for us, customer feedback, partner feedback is everything in terms of mapping out the future for where the product's going to go.
It's a great mindset to have. And Chris, over the next 12, 24, 36 months, we've talked about some of the trends that have helped Indr's growth, such as ChatGPT being more utilized by the common consumer. What trends would you like to see if you had one industry wish moving forward over the next couple of years that would help Indr's growth? What would you use it on?
Wow. Um, from a change, from an industry point of view, I think that we are very much at the early stages of the hype cycle around AI. Um, but I think we're going to move through this hype cycle much faster than we move through others. So we're going to go from kind of the top to the pit of despair, and then we're going to get back up into that plateau a little bit quicker. I think that honestly, this might not be the question that you're asking me, but I think that tech companies and all organizations right now are in a very uncertain world. And we've got chaos in a lot of places. Like we have unrest globally with conflicts in different parts of the world. We've had contentious elections here in the US and in other places as well. Markets are a little bit rattled. AI is causing a lot of challenges, the rise of crypto. A lot of things are in what I'll call an unsettled state. So if you ask me for what I would really love macro, it's a little bit more calm and clarity around things, which I don't believe we're going to have for a hot minute, because I think that that's probably for our company and many others. One of the biggest risks is sort of the uncertainty of our all-up environment that we're operating in. I think, like it or not, when things are clear and there is clarity, it's much easier to operate, whether there's a tailwind or a headwind related to that, but you know what you're up against. So I would honestly say that when you've got, in my experience, situations like this, uh, whether it's customers, partners, or other entities, sometimes they freeze a little bit and don't move because of that uncertainty. So I would love to see more certainty in the environment.
Hmm. I love it. And as we kick off 2025, we're already nearly a full month in. What's the goals for Inders this year?
We're right now we're trying to ramp up our direct and our indirect growth. We're bringing new partners on board right now. We're looking at new industry verticals that we could tackle right now, which is exciting for us. We're finishing a capital raise right this second, so we have a lot of things moving. Our goal is to spend calendar 2025 really setting ourselves up for success for 26, 27, and 28. So we've done a lot to twist, shape, redefine our business model for maximum growth. And right now, we're trying to get as much fuel into the rocket as possible before taking off. So this is going to be an exciting year for us, but one that definitely sets the table for the future.
Hmm. Amazing, Chris. And that's all I got for you today. I really appreciate you sharing the insights with not only me, but the audience listening as well. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Well, when you wake them back up from this after listening to me, Oliver, then hopefully they'll appreciate one or two things. But it's been absolutely my pleasure joining you. I seriously appreciate it. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Chris.